the county over there helps us all through the years. Karen came in to help us from TCRS to educate us. We've got a great retirement system. Applaud you all for what you do. And I think we're even more blessed with the 2555 here at the Sheriff's Office. A lot of us have. So we're very blessed with that. And she's going to explain to us a little bit about the system, what we can expect, or questions we might have.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, you're very welcome. All right. So it looks like everybody sat with a book, so that's good. Like you said, my name is Karen. I am the supervisor for the retirement counseling section at TCRS. I'm here to kind of talk to you about your retirement today, about any questions that you may have, the steps you need to take to retire, and so on and so forth. I'm going to kind of walk through this booklet. Everything pretty much you need to know about retirement is going to be in this booklet. It's going to answer a lot of questions for you. Also within the booklet I have stuck a brochure, which I'll kind of tie in to the presentation as I go along. But it's about selecting a beneficiary, which is very important when you're thinking about retirement. And even before retirement, beneficiaries are important as well. I think everybody got their annual statements today, which worked out fantastic. So if you have any questions about those, please feel free to ask. I'll be happy to look at those with you if you have any questions. And of course, ask questions as we go along. Stop me and we'll address whatever questions you have along the way. And if you'd like to speak with me afterwards, I'll stick around for a minute and answer any individual questions that you might have about your own accounts or whatever. I know that I was asked to address the stability of TCRS. I know a lot of people tend to worry about retirement, about how stable it is, about if it's ever going to go away or if we're ever going to lose benefits, and so on and so forth. And the answer to that is no. TCRS is doing very, very well. We're actually over 90% funded right now, which if you've heard in the news in the last few years about these states that are having to cut retirements and things where they're only 20 or 30% funded. So being over 90% funded, we're very fortunate. We have a fantastic investments team that works around the clock to watch our money for us, and they work very, very hard, and they take really good care of us. So we're doing very well. Right now we have about $34 billion in trust, which is a lot. And just like everybody in 2009, we did lose money, that everybody did, but we have regained that and we've actually added more to it. So we're doing very, very well with our investments. So everything with retirement is good. We're in the top 10 in the nation as far as retirements go, which we're very proud of. And we're in the top 20. We're 26th in the nation as far as the largest pension plans, and we're 77th in the world. So we're very, very proud of TCRS. You guys should be too. It's a very, very, very exciting benefit that you all receive. Not many people receive pensions anymore. So it's a very, very nice benefit. We not only cover you guys, cities, counties, utility districts. We also cover all state employees, which is what I am, and we cover K through 12 teachers and higher education employees. So we cover a whole gamut of people. Right now we have about 30,000 active members right now that we actively deal with, and we have about 117,000 retirees right now that we're paying out benefits to. So we have a large number of people that we deal with on a daily basis, and we're having more and more come in every day. So we're working very hard to make sure everybody has a pleasant experience in retirement, and that you guys are knowledgeable and know the steps to take and feel comfortable with the process. So I'm going to kind of go through this booklet. And I'm going to kind of call out the page numbers if you want to follow along with me. Page 1, I already kind of did the introduction here at the top. That just kind of reinstates what I just went over as far as who we cover and how many we cover. Down at the bottom of that it says retirement plans. we need to make sure that you understand that we are what we call a defined benefit plan. And what that means is that your benefit that you receive when you retire is not going to be based on any contributions that you've put in. Your benefit is based on a formula. And what we do is we plug in your years of service and your average salary into this formula, and that's how we come up with what your monthly benefit is going to be. We are so many times confused with a contribution plan, which is like a 401k or a 457 or a plan like that, where your benefit, your monthly benefit is going to be based on what you've invested, how that investment return has come, and that's how your benefit is going to be calculated. So kind of keep us separated from that, because we're mistaken with those all the time. People call up and say, I want to take money out of my TCRS, for a hardship or for, take a loan against it. You can't do that, because we don't function like that. Your contributions are what helps to pay you. It doesn't determine the amount, it just helps to pay your benefit. So we want to make sure that everybody understands the difference between a benefit plan and a contribution plan. Another benefit plan is Social Security. We're very similar to Social Security, if you want to get that way. Okay? So when we're talking about retirement, we have to meet the different requirements for retirement. So there are 3 different types of requirement that you would have to meet in order to be eligible for retirement. The first is being vested. So everybody has to be vested. What does vesting mean? Vesting means that you have at least 5 years of service in TCRS. And with that 5 years, that guarantees you a monthly benefit when you reach retirement age. So everybody has to have 5 years of service, at least, to be vested. Then you have to meet the age requirements. So first off, we have service retirement. If you look at page 2, we have service retirement, which is age 60 or higher, and 5 years of service or more, or having 30 years regardless of age. So either one of those, if you meet either one of those, age 60 or higher or 30 years, you can retire with your unreduced benefit. And then you have early retirement, which is 55. 55, and for you guys, it would be 55 and under 25 years of service. Since you guys have the enhanced benefit of the bridge, you're a little bit different. So if you're 55 and you have 25 years of service, you are then eligible to receive the service retirement, which means you're getting an unreduced benefit because you have mandatory retirement rules. If you have under 25 years, but you're 55, that's when your benefit would be reduced. You would still receive the bridge payment, but your regular benefit would be reduced because you haven't met the 55 mark or the 25-year mark. So that's kind of a little bit different with you guys. Also, we have 25-year early, which that would be if you're under the age of 55, but you have 25 years. You could retire with that, and of course, there again, you receive a reduced benefit by doing that. All 3 of these, you will receive the bridge payment with all 3 of these, but you don't receive it until the age of 55. So if you retire early, say you have 30 years in, but you're only 50, you would go 5 years, and then at 55, you would start drawing the bridge payment. So you don't get the bridge before 55. It starts at 55 and ends at 62. Okay, it kind of bridges the gap between now mandatory retirement and Social Security. Everybody clear on that? Got that pretty well? Page 3 kind of goes over the bridge payment, exactly what it is. You guys are very fortunate to have that. I think there's only 14 other departments that have passed that in TCRS. So you're one of the few that actually have that benefit. So it's a very nice benefit for you guys to have. But this kind of goes over percentages and how it all works and everything. It can kind of get convoluted if you're reading this, and it kind of, it kind of doesn't really break it down into simple terms, I don't think. But basically, you just have to know that once you reach that 55-25 mark, you're going to get the bridge. The bridge is going to go to 62. Now, the biggest misconception with this is that the 55-25 gives you the same amount of benefit as it would if you had 30 years of service. That is not correct. If you want the same amount of percentage of benefit of your AFC as a 30-year person, you have to have 30 years of service. The 55-25 doesn't get you the same percentage as someone who has 30 years. And we get that all the time. We get calls about that all the time. And it has been some heated discussion recently, because I think when entities have passed it, they haven't explained that very well. And sometimes in the literature, it's not very clear. It tells you you're going to get an unreduced benefit. You do. You get an unreduced benefit, but you're not getting the same percentage of your salary as someone who has 30 years of service.
Is that 1.5% per year?
Yes.
So it'd be 7.5%.
So you want to make sure that you understand that, because we get called on that all the time. All the time. Any questions about the bridge?
How much does it increase once you hit 55? What's the percentage of increase that you will see?
Well, for each year, once you reach that service mark, where you're getting that unreduced benefit, for every year that you go beyond that, you're getting about a 1.5% increase for each year you go beyond.
Go beyond the 25 or go beyond the 30?
Either one.
What if you have the 25 years and you don't have the age of 55? Can you go then and just wait until you're 55 and start collecting? Or, in other words,
You
say
could.
25 years.
You could. Well, you could do one or two things. You could go ahead and retire. Say you're 50, but you only have 25 years. You could retire then. Your benefit will be reduced even more, but you could. Or you could just, put off retirement, not draw it yet, and wait until the age of 55.
And then it would be it would not be reduced.
Right.
The rate that it was. So you could, at 49, 50, you have 25, just wait about 5 years and you get the exact amount that you would.
But that affects your insurance right there. You gotta have 25, 55, or 30 years service to get insurance up to like 65, correct? Paid for by the county.
Would you get the insurance at 55?
Yes, it is set up for the post-certified employees at 55-25.
55, 25.
So if you just have to wait.
No, if you left early, it's not going to pick up once you reach 55 years old.
You got 30 or 25, 55.
Correct.
I'm always glad someone that knows about insurance is here. Because I know zilch about insurance, so I'm always happy when somebody knows that, because I always get those questions and I have no idea. So I'm really glad that you're but any other questions about the requirements, the bridge? Any other questions about those
What's
things?
the formula for the bridge?
I'm sorry?
What's the formula for the bridge?
The formula, let's see, is it showing here? I don't think it does.
What's that 5%?
Right, you would take your years of service and multiply that times the 0.75, and then I think you divide by 12, if I'm correct. And that would give you what your payment would be. I think that's right.
That's your post-certified years,
Yes.
not
Yes.
all your years.
No, it has to be when you're certified. Anything that you've done that you have not been certified does not count in the bridge. It has to be all certified service. Anything else? Okay. So I talk a lot about service, and there are different kinds of service that you can get credit for. If you turn to page 4 and 5, these kind of talk about those different types of service. Of course, you work every month, you get a month of credit. that adds up to your years of service with TCRS. There's other types of service as well. There's what we call refunded service, which is where you may have worked for another employer that participated in TCRS and you left that employment and you took your money out of TCRS at that time. Well, once you do that, that basically closes you out of TCRS. You're basically not a member anymore. You no longer have the service that you had before, and you no longer have those contributions. So what would happen is if you came back to work, you would be starting from zero. Your service would be zero, everything would be zero. So you could actually pay back that money and basically put that service back. So we could do, you could get that service back and it would be like you had never taken any money out. So that's what we would call refunded. We also give credit for military service. This is something that has to be looked at on a case-to-case basis. We have to see DD-214s, discharge papers, that type of thing, to see if we can give you credit for military service. Also, if you're getting a benefit from the military or from some other place where this service would be included, then we can't give you credit for it. So if you're getting a military pension or any other type of retirement that this is included, we can't give you credit for it in TCRS. But you could get credit potentially for that. Also, sick leave. Sick leave is a pretty important thing. Sick leave can really, really help you, and sick leave can really, really increase your benefit depending on how much you have. So we tend to say don't abuse it. I'm not saying don't use it. You need to use it. You need to use it. But it will help you to get to retire earlier, maybe. It'll get you, if you've got 24 years and you need to get that 25th year and you've got a year of sick leave, you're there.
You only use a year of sick leave?
Can you only use a year of sick leave? We use whatever you have.
Whatever.
Yes, you do not lose any credit for sick leave. Now, one of the biggest questions we get asked is, do you have to have increments of 20? No. 20 days, we consider 20 days a month of credit. But you do not have to have increments of 20. So if you have 21 days, we're going to use all 21 days. You don't lose any. Any other questions about?
The sick time is also calculated on an 8-hour day, 5 days a week, correct?
Yes. If that's how it is certified to us on your application, that's how it's certified.
Well, like here, there's some divisions that work 8-hour days, and there's some divisions that work 10-hour days. With that in mind, how would that compare to be equal when they send it in, or how would they divide that?
Usually it's not. When we have people that work more than 8 hours a day, that's something where when sick leave is certified to us, we ask the employer to certify that leave into days. So they're telling us what those 10-hour days equal to as far as days worked. Because we can't determine that. I mean, it's easy for us to determine a 7.5-hour day or an 8-hour day. But when you start working 24-hour shifts and you're working 2 days on, 2 days off, you start doing all of these weird hours, that's when it's up to the employer to tell us what they consider that to be when they convert it to days. So it may not necessarily, an 8-hour person may not necessarily get the same.
Like many days,
Same
somebody's
length.
been on a 10-hour shift, the same amount of time before, correct?
Right. Any other questions about any type of service? All right, so the next couple of pages, 6, 7, and 8, kind of give you a breakdown of how your regular benefit would be calculated. This is a very symbolized version of how we actually calculate the math is a little bit more complicated than this, but it kind of gives you an idea of how we calculate things as far as what the regular benefit is. If you have any questions about that, I can go over that with you afterwards. I usually don't get too far into that. Because it's kind of a for your information type thing. All right, page 9. When you retire, you're going to complete a retirement application. And on that application, you're going to designate a payment plan. And we've got 6 different payment plans that are listed on page 9 that you can choose from, which is how you wish us to pay you for the remainder of your life. We have 2 that would pay only you and would not leave anything for a survivor. And then we have 4 that would be you would be providing for your survivor if something happened to you. So I'm going to go through these one at a time. The very top one, regular maximum plan. Pretty self-explanatory, giving you the biggest benefit that you can get for your life. And when you pass away, that benefit will end with you. So it's only payable to you. You also have Social Security leveling, which works the same way. It's only payable to you for your life. I'm going to kind of go over this one last because it's a little bit more complicated. But I will touch on that one at the end of this. And then we have the joint survivor options, where you're going to take, it says you're going to take a permanently reduced benefit. And what that means is that we have to pay you for your lifetime. And then we have to turn around and pay your beneficiary for the remainder of their lifetime. So we're paying 2 lifetimes. So in order for us to do that, we have to give you kind of a lower benefit, so then we can afford to pay your beneficiary for the remainder of theirs. So you get this reduced benefit for life, and then if you passed away, that monthly benefit would either continue to them in the same amount as you were getting, which would be option 1. You're going to get 100% of the survivor option. Or you could get a benefit and under option 2, and it would only provide the beneficiary 50% of that monthly benefit. Then we have 3 and 4, which are very similar to options 1 and 2, but they have a little bit of an added bonus with those 2. Option 3 is giving your beneficiary 100% of the benefit if you passed away. However, if you were to outlive your beneficiary, bless you, then instead of getting that reduced benefit, we would actually take you back up to getting the maximum benefit for the remainder of your life. Option 4, same thing. You get a benefit, your beneficiary would receive half. If you outlive that person, you're going to go back to receiving the max. Those 2 we refer to those as the pop-up options, because we're popping you back up to the maximum if you outlive that person. Any questions about those?
Is there someone else in here about, if you name somebody, I need to ask a question about that, if curiosity. Now the time or later?
Well, that's kind of where this comes in. This brochure comes in. When you are looking at naming a beneficiary, of course, you've already named a beneficiary. You already have one on file right now. Or you should, I should say. You've gotten your annual statements. Whoever's in our system is listed on that annual statement. If that person is wrong, you don't want that person as your beneficiary, you need to change it immediately. And the reason I say that is if you went out the door today and died, that person that's listed is who's going to get your benefit. If you don't want that person to get your benefit, you need to remove that person's name because we can't override that. So if you've got an ex-wife listed, and your new wife, and your new wife doesn't know about it, she's gonna know about it. When she doesn't get the benefit, the ex-wife does. So you want to make sure that you are very careful with that. Now, before retirement, you can list as many people as you want to list. At retirement, you have to choose one individual. We can't tell you who to choose. You can choose anybody that you want. It can be your wife, your husband, your children, a child, a family member. It cannot be a dog or a cat, unfortunately. But anybody that you want to, you can list. We don't care. But before retirement, it's very important that you make sure that you have one individual listed. I say you can have multiple, but the reason I say you probably should only have one, and if you have a spouse, it should be a spouse. That is because if you were to pass away today, the spouse kind of trumps everyone else. So the spouse is going to be the one that's going to be eligible for every single type of death benefit. Okay, so you've got a spouse, but that's what our recommendation would be, is listing a spouse only. If you do not have a spouse, then we would suggest just listing one child, or one family member, or friend, or whoever you want, because that way they're going to get a choice. If you're eligible for retirement when you pass away, then that person will receive a choice whether or not they want to take a lump sum of your contributions or they want to take a monthly benefit. If you have multiple people listed, all they're going to get is a lump sum payment, and it will be divided, and that's all they get. So that's where you kind of get into a little bit of gray area, because people don't want to split their kids up, and they don't want to, they don't know who to list. And it gets to be this benefit. This will help you. This brochure will help you. This lists all of the different types of death benefits in it. It also gives you a nifty little chart to ask you questions. You follow the chart, and it gives you the recommendation of how you answer those questions. Now, when you're looking at this brochure, this is going to be for your situation before retirement, as of today. When you're looking at retirement, the beneficiary, whatever of one of these options you choose that I just went over here, that's going to determine what that beneficiary receives after retirement. So 2 separate things: before, after. Okay. So look at your annual statements. Make sure that they're correct. Make sure you have the right person on there. If you don't, there's a form in the back of this booklet in which you can fill out and change a beneficiary if you need to, or add someone if you need to. If you want to do that before you leave today, I'll be happy to take it back with me and get that set up for you. But you do have that form in the back of the booklet if you need to make a change. Any questions about other beneficiaries or any of the other payment plans? Any questions about payment plans?
But you can name anybody, but my question, I guess, is my ex-wife. So I went crazy and decided to put her on here. Can you put an ex-wife on here?
Absolutely.
And I can change my mind the day before I retire and make her on.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Whoever you list on the retirement application is it. And that's it forever. You can remove that person, but you're never going to be able to pass the benefit on to someone else. So whoever you list at retirement is who your beneficiary will be.
Karen, doesn't the lump sum payment change if it's an accidental death?
Yes. Yes. And I think that is, if I'm not mistaken, I think it line of duty death, it would be different. And I think that's kind of, there's something that's, there's some money that's paid out by the state.
Okay.
All right. So now we come to Social Security leveling, which is on page 11. Now, I don't know if this is something wise.
Can I ask one more quick question?
Sure.
So if I'm 55 and I name my 20-year-old child as beneficiary, so you're saying it can be anybody, not just her spouse?
Mm-hmm.
So my next question would be, how does that financially, if everybody that's retiring today names their 20-year-old child, then what you're banking on is these 2 people die, and that's one of the reasons that you take the reduced benefit and all that.
Right.
But now you're looking at the reduced benefit going to a 20-year-old child who's going to live another 50 years.
Right.
Taking money from the retirement.
So guess what happens to your benefit?
It's reduced.
even more. Because, like you said, those options are based on
That's what
age.
age plays in?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't understand that.
Yes, age plays a huge factor in those survivor options. So if you're listing an individual who is your spouse, who's close in age, or someone that's older than you, then we don't have to take as much money from you. Because,
So it's the 20-year-old.
but if it's right,
Okay.
exactly, because we have to pay two lifetimes.
Right.
So we would have to take more money from you in the beginning to fund the benefit for the younger person. Good question. All right, now I'm going to talk about Social Security leveling, which you may or may not find wise to take because basically the bridge is taking the place of this. But you could if you wanted to. But how this works is that we look at what you would receive from Social Security at 62, and we give you a percentage of that up front to supplement your income. So the bridge is very similar to that. You're having this mandatory retirement. You have to retire. The bridge is bridging the gap between that time and 62. So it basically is the same thing. However, we're not reducing your benefit. Social Security leveling will. So how this works is that if you look over here, you can kind of see the different calculations here. Assuming this person is going to retire with 30 years of service, and this person here is 55 years old. Okay, so they're getting a full benefit, which over here it says is 1968. So their estimated amount from Social Security is $800. Okay, so this is based on age as well. So when we look at this calculation, we're saying, okay, well, how much extra are we going to pay this person up front? We don't give you all $800. We're just going to give you a percentage of that, and that's based on your age when you retire. So this person's 55 in this example. So you can see over here where these actuarial factors are. At 55, it's 52%. So 52% of that $800 is $417. If you look over here on the left-hand side. So that's how much extra we're going to pay this person a month if they take this option. So that $417 added to their max benefit of $1968 is going to increase their benefit to $23.85 a month. So that's what this person would draw every month until they reach the age of 62. Well, at 62, they're eligible to get that Social Security at $800. So we have to subtract $800. We're giving you $400, we're taking back $800. So you're going to see a drop in your TCRS benefits. So it would drop, in this person's example, to $15.85. But you're going to get that $800 from Social Security. So $800 added back into $15.85 is $23.85. So you're leveling. You're staying the same. You're not seeing an increase in your benefit, basically forever. Now there are cost of living adjustments that come into play on that. But as far as the base benefit, you're never going to see an increase. It's going to stay the same.
Does that leveling account for a guy to take retirement at 60, social SSI at 62, because you get a reduced benefit there versus if you wait to 60, in other words, if you wait to 65, so you get your full Social Security, you can elect to get your level at 65,
No.
not 62.
You have to take this prior to the age of 62. This is meant for this plan is meant for individuals who are very young when they retire, because they may become not able to work anymore, and so they need that extra income to supplement them until they get to that age. Or it's meant for individuals who are probably not going to see Social Security. They're probably terminally ill, or have a health condition or something where they may not live long enough to see it. So they're getting all the money they possibly can right now in order to live on until that day. But this plan is only meant for individuals under the age of 61 and a half. You have to be under the age of 61 and a half to even be eligible for this plan. If you're planning on waiting to take Social Security at 65, 66, whatever your age may be, you don't need to do this. Because even if you do that, even if you start off taking this and you decide at 62, I'm not going to draw now, I'm going to wait, we still reduce your benefit. So we would not want you to take it if that was your plan. So you could take this if you really wanted to, but the bridge is kind of taking care of this for you. So it may or may not be a wise decision. I can't really tell you, but that'd be up to you. But any questions about the leveling option? No? Okay. Good deal. Next page, 12. This kind of gives you an idea, kind of going back to that question we just had about how age affects the survivor options. This kind of shows you different ages that you may be versus different ages your beneficiary may be, and the percentages under each option that you would receive. So this kind of gives you an idea. Now, of course, these percentages are not set in stone. These are not like definite percentages because everybody's different. Everybody's numbers are different. But this just kind of gives you an idea of what the percentages will look like under those certain ages. I don't like percentages. I never did get that to school. The percentages are hard. I don't like them. When people call and say, what's the percent? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know the percentage. Don't ask me that. All right. Next page, 13. TCRS does offer disability benefits to our members. The big thing with this is that in order to be eligible for disability, you have to be basically completely disabled, not able to do any type of gainful employment at all. Also, if you're eligible to receive a full retirement benefit, meaning you've already met the 55-25, meaning you have 30 years of service, meaning you're already the age of 60, this benefit does not apply to you anymore. And the reason that is because disability is reduced. It's a reduced benefit. So if you're eligible to receive a benefit that's going to be your full benefit, we're not going to let you take a lower benefit when we owe you a bigger one. So if you meet any of those service retirement requirements, disability is no longer an option, which is good because you're getting a higher amount anyway. But we do offer these types of disability if anybody falls within those categories. We have, like I was telling the highway guys this morning, we have 6 counselors that deal with the entire state. You can believe that. Everybody thinks we have a staff of hundreds. No, 6 people. And we have 2 disability counselors that deal with all the disabled people in the state. 2. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful ladies. But they will take care of you. Believe me. If any of this happens, they'll take very good care of you.
If you're drawing a PA disability, that's not going to affect anything,
Any questions about that?
Can't combine with social security benefit as well too, on disability as well.
Well, our benefit's separate. Our
But I
benefit,
mean, you get both.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Which most of the time, if you apply for Social Security disability and you're approved, most of the time you're approved for our disability as well. Okay. Next couple of pages really don't apply to you guys. It's got insurance, so we'll kind of skip those pages. Page 16 talks about COLA. And COLA is the cost of living adjustment. Retirees are lucky. Retirees get more money every year, and we don't, which stinks. But retirees are eligible to receive a cost of living every year. Of course, it is not guaranteed, but they are eligible. It can be anywhere from 1% to 3%. It's based on the economy for the previous year, voted on by legislature. They decide it, they vote on it. So we don't have any control over what it's going to be. But every year except 2009, retirees got a cost of living raise. 2009, they didn't get anything because that's when everything fell apart in the economy. 2010, they got 2.7, which we felt was very generous. I don't know if the economy bounced back quite that much, but that's what they were given. And then in 2011, they were only given 1.5. So I think they were really generous, and then they weren't not so generous. So it kind of is going to fluctuate. This year they got 3. So hopefully that trend will continue, and the 3% will continue like it was pretty much every year since before 2009. It was 3. So we're hoping that continues. But how this works is you have to be retired 1 full year prior to July 1 of the previous year. So everybody wants to know, what's the magic date? What's the date I should retire? Well, if there was a magic date, it would be June 30th. And that's for this reason. So if you retire June 30th, come around July 1 of the next year, you've been retired 12 months, so you're eligible to receive the cost of living that year. If you retire July 5th, then guess what? When you come around to the next July 1st, you've only been retired 12 or 11 months. So guess what? You got to wait a whole another year to get the cost of living. So if there was a magic date, June 30th would be it as far as getting the cost of living. And like I said, it's not guaranteed. We don't know what the percentage is going to be. So you're kind of taking your chances when it comes to, should I retire after June 30th or should I retire before? We can't really, there's no way for us to know what it's going to be. So you just kind of have to weigh those, take that chance when you're deciding. But that's how that would work if you're going to receive that. And that cost of living comes to you every July. That's when you would see it reflected on your check. It's every July. Any questions about COLA? Page 17, federal income tax. Yes, you have to pay tax on your retirement. I know, I hate that too. You're never going to get away from it. So, now we had the question this morning about contributions possibly being paid in post-tax, which is possible, but you will never be double taxed on anything. So if there was a point way back years ago where you may have put in money that was already taxed, we're going to determine that at the time of retirement, so you will never be double taxed on anything that you've already been taxed on. So there may be a few months where we don't withhold any tax because we're going to go through that post-tax money first, and then we're start paying you the pre-tax money, which then will become taxable. So you're never going to get double taxed on anything. Tax is basically based on how you file, like you do right now in your paycheck. You're going to specify that on the application, how you wish us to withhold that, and you can change that at any time. It's not set in stone. You can make that change every year if you want to. All right. Returning to service is the next page, 18. So you retire, you go home, you spend a couple of weeks, you say, oh, I'm bored, I want to go back to work, but I really don't want to go back full time. Well, it's okay. You can go back to work. You could come back to work for Blount County. You could go back to work for any other place that participates in TCRS. But you would be limited on how much you could work and earn with those employers, and it not affect your retirement benefit. So for us, our requirement would be you work 120 days in a year and earn no more than 63% of your last year's salary working. Now, 120 days roughly is 6 months. You can spread that out however you wish to do so. You could work 1 day a week. You could work 6 months straight. You could work every other week. We don't care how you do it, as long as you stay within 120 days. Now, a lot of people, they will only work a job where they work 2 or 3 hours a day. In that case, then you can convert the days to hours. And it would be 900 hours a year.
Your cash maximum, what you can make on 120 days.
63% of their salary.
I got a assistant chief that retired and came back. Maybe Social Security over, it's 14,000, I think
That's Social Security.
Okay.
Yes. Now, Social Security is a little bit different. If you were to return back to work, then they have their own limitation on how much you can earn. But this 120 days does not affect that. It has nothing to do with that. It would be something separate. So if you went down and got a job at Home Depot or Lowe's or Walmart or wherever, you could work there as far as we're concerned, you can work there as much as you want. But with Social Security, if you're drawing Social Security and you're not at your full age yet, they will put that $14,000 some odd dollar limit on you. Once you reach your full Social Security age, whether that's pretty much probably everybody in this room is 66 or 66 probably, then you can that limitation no longer applies for Social Security. You can make as much money as you want. Any questions about returning to work? You can always come out of retirement if you need to. You just let us know. We suspend your benefit. You go back to work, and then essentially you retire again. You go through the same process, and then we redo the benefit as we do. So there's always room to come out of retirement if that's something you want to do.
Is there a 60-day limit on it? You have to wait 60 days for you to make work then?
Yes. Yes. Now that 60 days can be waived by the employer if they need you to come back immediately. They can waive that 60 days. However, in that 60-day period, you can only work half time. Good question.
And the 120 days is a rolling year, right?
Starts when you start.
Starts when you start, and it's a year from then. It's not like on a fiscal year calendar
No,
year basis.
it's a calendar year. Starts when you start. So if you started today, you'd have a year from today to work 120 days. All right. We're just breezing right through this. If I'm going too fast or if you have questions, please tell me. All right. Page 20, 21, and 22 is the retirement checklist. This is something really good to look at, especially if you're getting close to retirement, you're considering retirement, you're trying to think about things that you need to prepare for before then. The checklist gives you a really good guide in order to do that. We'll look at 12 months, 6 months, 3 months, even after retirement, giving you things to look at and think about and consider before you actually retire. We recommend that probably about 6 months prior to retirement that you contact us and let us run some numbers for you. We can do estimates for you, or you can come in and speak with one of us individually, and we can sit down with you and run estimates for you and go over everything for you while you're there. We can do estimates for you. We can't do them over the phone, but you can request them by phone, and we can mail them to you, email them to you, fax them to you, any way that you want us to get to you, we can. So we recommend that about 6 months, 6 months to a year, usually, prior to retirement. Now, if you're 10 or 15 years down the road away from retirement, we can do an estimate for you, but it's not going to be correct because we don't know what your salary is going to be. We don't know if you're still going to have the same amount of sick leave. There's a lot of variables in there that we won't know that far in advance. So we can do one for you, but it may not be entirely correct by the time you get to that point. So usually about a year out, maybe even 2 years out, doing an estimate would be appropriate. Also, your annual statements show you estimates on them as well. They will give you your first eligibility to meet the service retirement. So probably they'll start with age 60 or where you want to hit the 30-year mark, which for you guys will be before then, but that's what the statement will show you as first eligibility for full retirement benefits. About 3 months prior to retirement is when you want to file for retirement. You want to complete the application, get that submitted to us about 3 months in advance. And then once we receive that application in our office, you'll be notified. And then once it's finished, you'll be notified again. And then your benefit will start. So we try to get it done in a timely manner. That's all we ask for 3 months in advance. This year we had over 8,000 Tennesseans retire this year in TCRS. Last year it was 7,400. So we had 600 more people retire this year than last year. And the year before that, it was about the same, maybe a little less. So this year we've had the highest amount of retirees ever in the history of TCRS, and it's going to continue. I mean, that trend is going to continue. We've got the baby boomers now getting ready to retire. We've got, the mass exodus of teachers that are leaving because of their trials and tribulations in the school systems. So we've got a lot of people retiring. So the earlier you can apply, the better. And that helps us to make sure that we get everything worked and we get you paid on time. Because we don't want to have you go without. So 3 months prior is a good time. If you want to make an appointment to come see us, that's just fine. Like I said, we have 6 counselors that you can meet with. You would need to call and make an appointment. We would greatly appreciate it if you called and made an appointment. Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30 Central Time. Feel free. We're always there to talk with you, meet with you individually. If you want to sit down and talk about what your numbers look like, if you want to sit down and talk about, if you think there's issues with your service or your salary or anything like that, if you think that there's something wrong, let us know. Because we want to take care of that before you retire. It's a lot easier to take care of those types of things before you actually retire. And then we won't have to worry about it when you retire and then they hold up your retirement. So, especially prior service, we need to purchase back prior service, or anything like that. Usually a good idea to do that prior to retirement as well. Our contact information is here on page 23. At the top, there's our address, our website. We've revamped our website. It's a little bit more user-friendly. You can find all of the forms on the website, all of our publications. This brochure is on the website. This book is on the website. Anything that I've told you today is on the website. Also, we have a benefit calculator. If you are curious and you just want to get a quickie estimate, you can go on the calculator, plug in your numbers, and get an estimate that way if you're just curious and you want to play around with different dates and things like that. The calculator does not calculate the bridge though. It will only calculate your regular benefit. So if you're really wanting to know about the bridge payment, that's when you would need to call us and we would need to send you that information.
Well, I guess number of contact for the buyback.
The buyback is going to be member services, which is the second number down. No, third number down, sorry. Where it says member services division. They're the ones that handle prior service. They're basically the ones that handle everything after you retire. They're the ones that work your benefit. They're the ones that deal with all of the benefit stuff after you retire. The number before that is counseling, which is what I'm in. We're the ones that handle you before you retire. So if you want retire planning, any type of counseling, estimates, disability.
Well, maybe I shouldn't say prior, so if I want to buy back my first 6 months or something like that.
That's member services. We do have an 800 number if you want to call toll free. It's down here in the middle of the page. Just type on, press the appropriate menu selection for the appropriate department. There's about 8 of them. If you don't listen to all of them, just press 1 and it'll bring it to us and we'll transfer you, which is usually what happens because nobody wants to sit and listen to all 8 selections. So counseling gets most of the phone calls. That's okay. And then we have the financial services division, which they're the ones that handle all of your payroll stuff. So when you retire, they're going to handle your direct deposit, they're going to handle your withholding, they're going to handle everything that deals with your money, the money part of it, your checks. So if you have any issues with that after retirement, then our payroll department would handle those issues. All right. The next couple of pages are just kind of fluff. Kind of FYI types of things that you can look at. and see these different schedules here. These are not meant to tell you exactly what your benefit's going to be. This is just meant to give you an idea. And we have individuals who look at this and they think that's exactly what their benefit's going to be, and it's not. So when you're looking at this, don't say, that's what I'm getting, because that's not what you're getting. But this kind of gives you a good idea. It kind of gives you a in the ballpark idea of if you have this many years and you have this average salary, what you would be looking at. But don't take this as gospel. All right, and then the last couple of pages are driving directions to our office. We're smack dab in the middle of downtown Nashville. Traffic is horrible. Parking is even worse. But if you want to come and see us, we are more than happy to do that. And if you need to make a beneficiary change, the form here, back of the booklet. If you want to request an estimate, there's also a form in the back of the booklet for that. So either one of these forms, if you want to do that today, I can take them back with me. Just let me get them before you leave. But if you want an estimate request, you can also mail this in. If you don't want to do it over the phone or request it over the phone, you can request it by mail if you want to. Any other questions that I can answer for you? I have cards if anybody wants a card.
The average salary is your 5 highest years in a row, correct?
Your 5 highest consecutive, yes. Anything else? I thought you guys were going to be like rowdy or something. I thought you were going to be like lively, like, woo! Is that after? Because we're after lunch, right? Everybody's about half asleep. All right, well, if there's no more questions, then we're done.
Pretty cheap.
You're welcome.
Thank you all for coming.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.